So today I'm going to be showing you how to install 3-piece cranks onto your BMX bike. So to start out, and I would suggest using a rubber glove, but you're going to need to clean all this out. I've cleaned and greased everything already before the video, so you guys didn't have to watch me grease anything. But so I took my rubber glove and I greased all this inside of here where the bearings are going to sit. Next, I greased the bearings, and the bearings I'm going to put in right now, they go this way, so the balls are going to face in to the frame, just like that. And then I'm going to put the other one on the other side over here, just like that. Right here on the spindle, I think it's called, there's like this little notch where the bearing sits. So you're going to want to put that in. And then on the other side here, and I have all these parts greased. I greased the whole spindle because you want to make sure everything's running smoothly in there. And I greased pretty much all the screws, and I greased all these parts like your washers and stuff like that. So now I'm going to take you around to the other side over here. But next, you're going to want to take your cranks. When you get your cranks, they should come with all these pieces that I'm about to put on here. This is called the sealed bottom bracket. Right here, I'm going to try to get it's like that. It's got little grooves right there. My camera's not focusing, hold on. It's got little grooves right here where I'm pointing on each side. And it's like that. And the bearings, they run along this groove right here. So that you're going to want to screw this on along the threads. And everything, when you're screwing anything on to threads, hold on. When you're screwing anything on, I gotta get this straight on here. There we go. When you're screwing anything onto like your spindle, there's like 3 different things that you have to screw on, and everything is counterclockwise. And the reason for this is that when you're pedaling your bike, you don't want the bolts to unscrew as you're pedaling. So everything screws on counterclockwise, and the threads are counterclockwise because you don't want it to unscrew on you. So I'm going to fast forward through this until I get it screwed all the way on the spindle. Okay, so I pretty much got that all the way on the spindle. And now what I'm going to take is I'm going to grab these, and I'm going to pretty much clamp down on the other side of the spindle. And then I'm going to grab a screwdriver. And in those little grooves that I showed you earlier, you're going to keep turning it with the it's a flathead screwdriver. You're going to want to keep turning that. And you want to turn it until it's pretty much hand tight. You don't really want to over tighten this, as it'll over tighten your bearings. So what you want to look for is you don't want to feel any play. So I should be able to wiggle this back and forth, up and down, and it won't go in like this. So I don't want to be able to wiggle it in and out like this. So as long as you feel no play and it's able to spin very freely, you can spin it both ways freely. Well, it's a little slippery right now, but it does spin. It spins both ways freely, so I think I'm good there. Next, what you're going to need is a little washer like this. And it has, I'm going to try to get it on the white frame there, but it has like a little notch in it. And that notch goes along with the grooves on your, or not the grooves, the threads. Because there's a little notch for that. So, because you don't want this to be spinning around on your threads. After you got that washer on, then you're going to need to grab your nut. And it's just it's not very thick, it's just a small little nut. Spin that, or screw that onto the spindle counterclockwise. Always remember counterclockwise. Okay, I pretty much got it up by the washer. This still spins freely. So now I'm going to take these and grab this over here again. And what I'm going to take, I'll go grab another pair of these pliers. And I got to get it open enough for me to grab it. But you're going to basically grab this, and you're going to keep turning it with the pliers. And I wouldn't do too much. I just hand tighten it. And then grab it, if I can grab it. And you want to turn it just enough so you don't want to over tighten it, but you don't want to under tighten it either. I'd say that's good enough. I don't feel any play or movement, so I don't want to tighten it anymore, as I don't want to over tighten it. Okay. So next what you're going to do is it's time to install your cranks. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my left crank here, and I'm going to back you guys up a little bit, make sure you can see. I'm going to go ahead and grab my left crank, and I'm going to put it on the spindle, just like that. And now the bolt that goes on the bottom of the crank, and this will all come with your cranks when you buy cranks. And I'm going to go ahead and screw that on using an Allen key. And this is just like a multi-purpose bike Allen key. It has like the 3 basic sizes of Allen keys that you'll need when you're fixing your bike. So you can get that at any of your local bike shops probably. So what this one's doing is there's also a bolt right there on the side of the crank too. But you always want to screw this one in first, because what this is going to do is this one is going to pull the crank in, and then this one right here is just going to tighten it where it's at. So you want to pull the crank in. You want to get it as far in on the spindle as you can, and then tighten it. Just hand tighten it. You don't need to tighten it very tight. And then this one, you're going to want to turn and hand tighten this one as well. Okay. There's one crank done. Spins freely. I don't hear any. Sometimes you'll hear almost like when you spin it, like a sandy type sound. And it's like, that's like the bearings, either they're not greased enough, or you rinsed off your bearings with water and you didn't let them dry enough or dry them out. So usually that's what that sound means. Now I don't really hear any in mine, so I think I'm good. For the other side. Now this is the drive side, so meaning that this is the side where the chain goes on. So you're going to need your sprocket, which I have here, and your right crank. So with this, there's a big hole in the sprocket and then a little hole. And then there's this little notch thing. This goes basically on there like that, but it's back here, sorry. So that little notch goes into there like that. So what you want to do is go ahead and put your sprocket on, and then your crank. And you want to make sure that your cranks are opposite of each other. I'll show you that in a minute here. Okay, so my cranks, as you can see, they're opposite from each other. So meaning this one's straight up and this one is straight down. You don't want this one to be straight up and your other one is like this. So you want to make sure they're parallel, I guess you could say, to each other. So once you got that on, then you're going to take your bolt, just like on the other side, and you're going to put it in first. Actually, I forgot one thing. Sorry. You need your chain. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my chain here, and I'm just going to put it around this, and then put my thing on. Again, opposite of what the other one is. Spin my sprocket around until it fits. And so this is, I just did that because I don't want to have to break my chain to get it back on this sprocket. It just makes it much easier if you do it now. Now you're going to take this bolt again and screw this in, so pulling the crank in towards the frame, just like you did on the other side. And go ahead and grab the other side of the thing. Hand tighten it. And my sprocket is solid. You want to make sure that your sprocket doesn't move, because then you didn't pull the crank enough in or tighten the bolt. So now you're going to need to tighten this. is here. I'm going to put the chain on the other side of that. So this Allen key again on the side. I want to make sure that's tight. It's kind of hard to get to because of the sprocket. Alright, so I got that tight. My cranks are parallel to each other. I got my chain in between there. So now your cranks are pretty much on. My sprocket's not wiggling. I feel no play when I'm pulling on the sprockets here. I can't push them in and out, nor can I feel any wiggle in them. So now I'm going to go ahead and put my chain on the back hub. Just like this. Get my chain on the, I'm going to get my, not the hub, sorry. The sprocket in the back. So now, I always do the back one first because it makes it easier. Because then you can just lay the chain on the front one. Like this. So it's still hanging off. And then spin your sprocket. And your chain will pull itself on. So, the pedal, with the right side, everything is normal. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So I'm going to go ahead and grab, this is a 5/8 wrench. I'm going to go ahead and grab this and put this on. And on the right side of the bike, the pedals, or the right pedal, I should say, the pedal spins on normal. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So I'm going righty-tighty on this right now. And then, but on the other side, on the left side of the bike, it's flipped. Just because of the way you pedal, like I said earlier. When you pedal, you don't want it to unscrew itself. So on the left side of the bike, to tighten the thing onto the pedal onto the crank, you're gonna need to tighten it counterclockwise rather than clockwise. So it's gonna tighten counterclockwise and loosen clockwise.